Senator Menendez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for this hearing. Congratulations on your nomination. Several of my colleagues have asked about the backlog, and I too want to ask about that. The National Taxpayer Advocate agrees that this is one of the biggest problems the IRS faces, and I've been able to ask previous acting administrators to focus on online tools, not the one-way communication where if you are calling them to make sure that tax is collected, you communicate, but then when they have questions, you don't communicate. So I want to figure out what are the ways that you believe that we can reduce the backlog, and what can you do on online communications to improve this system?
Thank you for the question, Senator. Absolutely, backlogs create a lot of challenges with respect to tax administration. I think, first of all, my understanding is that a lot of the backlogs are paper, and so there's an opportunity to move more of those into an electronic format. By doing that, they'll be more searchable. You'll be able to segment them into activities which can be done relatively quickly and getting taxpayers an answer in a timely way versus segmenting those that might take more time. When you know that they take more time, then you can start shifting people and resources to them rather than have them sitting there with not the right staffing. So there's an analytics component to this once we have a better understanding of what the backlog is. And I would be very eager to understand what the IRS is doing today around these types of strategies versus how they could improve them over time.
Do you commit to transparency on this issue? Here's the numbers of the backlog, here's what we think we can do with them, that kind of information?
I do.
Okay. Only 12% of those who called the IRS during 2022 filing were able to reach a customer service representative. This means that taxpayers were left in the dark. Now, I'm kind of pushing on the airlines that it's unacceptable to have 4 days go by in a major outage with the Southwest system and not be able to communicate with people. So what are you going to do to promise that there will be an improved communication? 230 constituents of mine reached out to my office for assistance with the IRS. And so I want to make sure that we are continuing to push for tools that will go a long way in answering these questions and helping to get information into taxpayers' hands.
Yeah, I think, Senator, kind of a next generation IRS should be able to communicate much more timely and effectively with taxpayers to understand what they're looking for and expecting in terms of how they interact with the IRS. What do they want the digital solutions to look like? How to make them more easy? I think a lot of private sector companies do this type of outreach. Also, to your point, what do you do when you have a challenge and you can't get through? What do you do if you can't get through to the taxpayer advocate, you can't get through to anyone in the government to help solve your problem, and you can't afford an accountant? These are the types of questions that I think we need to move forward aggressively to understand how to open up those lines of communications. I think we can work with people within communities to figure out solutions to understand how to prioritize which taxpayers have urgent needs. It's kind of like your airline example. I'm about to miss my flight versus I have 3 hours, right? Can we figure out?
Well, in this case, it was like, we're not flying for 4 days,
right.
And you can't get a flight, and I'm going to be stuck, or am I going to be stuck, or am I? So I think your ranking of the issues is a good idea. Like, you're trying to say, we're going to get this information, but people who have still lingering problems, you're not suggesting that you have to have an accountant to get that information,
No,
right?
not at all. No.
Okay, so, but you're pledging to me that you're going to look at some innovative ways to try to get two-way communications into regular taxpayer discussions who really have complicated cases that really do need an answer.
Yeah, and I think partnering with the taxpayer advocate is critical to that effort, and I'm committed to doing that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.